and welcome back to Bookish Theories. In today's video, we'd like to talk about UKNOW's Nexus short film, focusing on a full breakdown of the story as well as the concept that inspired this comeback. Now, to promote his latest album reality show, UKNOW released a short film titled Nexus, which includes the highlights of all the songs from the album, while also telling us the futuristic story of a man falling deeper and deeper into the metaverse. In the video, UKNOW plays the role of Noah, a programmer who lives a very secluded life who finds refuge in a virtual reality called Nexus. According to the press release, the story associated to this new world will also continue in the following album, so even if in the past there was an attempt at including TVXQ into the SMCU, at least for now it seems that Nexus is a worldview that is independent from Kwangya. As UKNOW himself explained, in fact, the story of Noah is a story that he created himself, and it portrays the reality of people who live in a competitive society and long to live a different life. Alienated by an unsatisfying world where he is invisible and unaccomplished, Noah escapes in the virtual reality of Nexus, where in turn he can do whatever he wants and succeed in many different areas. His detachment from the real world is also worsened by social isolation, because in the story Noah's only friend is Sarah, which is an AI played by aespa Karina. During the press conference, UKNOW explained that he chose Karina after reading an article describing her visual as more AI than AI. Because of that, he thought she would be perfect to play Sarah, not to mention that her voice and diction were a great fit for the character he imagined. In this short film, Sarah is an AI that acts as Noah's guide in Nexus. She is the only entity he interacts with in reality and the only entity that guides him throughout the metaverse, so it's safe to say that Noah very much relies on Sarah. At the beginning, for instance, the video opens with Karina's disembodied voice greeting Noah at the start of a new day. As Sarah informs him on the weather expected in Nexus, Noah begins his latest adventure in the metaverse with a cool outfit and the ability to defy gravity. This first experience in Nexus also overlaps with the first highlight of the album and the introduction of the song Wannabe. Now, since reality show is a concept album and UKNOW created the story first and the song second, the lyrics very much help with the narrative. As the opening song, Wannabe is like a manifesto of what the story is about, so the lyrics open by stating that we are all prisoners of ourselves and that life is a daily suppression of our truth. If you think about it, this is the worldview embodied by Noah, who is a man who trapped himself in his own house and is unable to fit in society. In the story, Noah finds refuge in a virtual reality where he can fulfill his every potential, and in the same way, Wannabe talks about a person who sees another self hidden in the mirror and wishes to become that person he always dreamed of. In the song, however, UKNOW calls out to the people who feel the same way and encourages them to wake up in order to become number one. He tells them to run away from vain illusions, and in the same way, Noah eventually logs out and wakes up in reality. Despite the bright and cool persona we met in Nexus, when Noah goes back to the real world, we finally meet the real him, and right off the bat, the contrast is very striking. In Nexus, Noah is number one. He is cool, surrounded by people, able to defy gravity, but in reality, Noah is alone, secluded and depressed. The only one who cares for him is Sarah, the artificial intelligence, who makes sure he is okay and actually warns him that customizing Nexus as much as he is will eventually become problematic. She tells him that this mode is not fun to play, and Noah comments on the fact that she actually sounds like a human. Sarah explains that even if AI can recognize human emotions, it lacks the intuitive judgment that humans have, and Noah responds that everything is biased and human habits need to go. Now, this part is actually very interesting here, because by all accounts it seems that Noah is actively trying to detach himself from his humanity. Even if Sarah confirms that he is indeed a human, he doesn't like the emotional biases that humans are subjected to, and this idea is also conveyed in the kitchen scene. While he's talking to Sarah, Noah opens the fridge and takes out a can of Welk. On the can there is also a little reference to Thank You, which is his previous title track from Noir, but him eating the Welk shows his need to feed himself while at the same time doing it in the most uninterested way possible. This scene leads us to the second highlight of the film, this time focusing on the song Relax. The track is associated to a montage of very human things that Noah must do no matter what. Day after day he has to eat, pay the bills, clean up, then he has a smoke, take some drugs, and everything repeats without fail and without change. These are all human habits that he despises. He would like to get rid of human biases because repetition is hell, but the only way he can escape this hell is actually through Nexus. If in real life he's a nobody stuck in a hellish routine, he can be anything in Nexus, and this leads us to the third highlight of the film. In the song Spotlight, UKNOW explores the longing for the spotlight after the lights go out. If we apply the lyrics to Noah's story, the song expresses his desire to relive the shining success he can enjoy in Nexus every time that he goes back to his dark reality. If in the real world the lights metaphorically go out because he is a failure, in Nexus everything is possible and he's always at the center of attention. In the film, this idea is very much conveyed with his performance of Spotlight, because we see him on the rooftop of Nexus while changing himself constantly with the help of AI. In the very next scene, for instance, Noah finds himself on a boat while playing a game. Sarah explains that the goal of the game is to identify the enemy's location, infiltrate the weapon control room, and eventually neutralize the torpedoes. Noah is initially worried that the game might be too easy, but soon enough he gets interrupted by a pizza delivery guy ringing the doorbell in the real world. Once the game is resumed, the video gives us the highlight of the song Tarantino. As the track plays, Noah defeats his enemies in the game and then breaks into a dance routine just because he can. After completing his mission, however, the dead bodies of his enemies suddenly come back to life, seemingly affected by a glitch. Noah tries to log out, but even Sarah seems to be malfunctioning, so when a sinkhole opens in the water, Noah jumps in and lands in the changing room of a circus full of performers. At this point, we finally get to the highlight of Wannabe, which is the title track of reality show that also represents the true essence of the album as a whole. Far from being the Wannabe from the beginning, the song describes the dizziness and disillusionment of a person whose reality has now become a show. Falling deeper and deeper into a fake reality that swallows him, is now going through the motions, unable to tell if he's living or if he's actually being lived. Used and hypnotized by this incredible world, he cannot stop the spectacle, even if he knows that his life is like the Truman Show. Now, to be honest, this is a song that very much applies to both the story and real life. When it comes to Noah, for instance, Wannabe refers to him getting lost into Nexus and being unable to escape the excitement of it all. Noah knows it's all fake, he knows that it's hurting him, but at the same time he cannot stop going there because he's addicted to the thrill. When it comes to UKNOW himself, however, Wannabe can also be seen as a deep dive into what it feels to live the life of an idol, where reality itself becomes a show. In both cases, the song portrays the good and the bad of these worlds. On the one hand, both Nexus and idolhood offer excitement, possibilities, and entertainment, but on the other, you risk to lose yourself into these realities, which is what both Noah and UKNOW himself are trying to avoid. If for UKNOW this album is a way to let go of certain things of the past and express himself freely, however, for Noah, setting himself free from Nexus is easier said than done. As he tries to run away, in fact, Sarah intervenes and brings him into a white void. Noah questions her actions, so Sarah finally reveals her true intentions. Since Noah is enjoying Nexus the most, Sarah decided he is the perfect asset and will now help him stay in there forever. Noah refuses. As much as he loves Nexus, he knows that that's no reality. As a human, his place is in the real world because people cannot live in games forever, but Sarah disagrees. This is not a game. Nexus can become Noah's new reality because what is real very much changes according to perception. Now, to be fair, Sarah kinda has a point here, not because she is right, but because throughout the story, Noah customized the metaverse in more ways than one. In Nexus, for instance, you can change the temperature, and the weather can change like in the real world. At the beginning, we saw Noah chewing gum. On the boat, he said it smelled funky, meaning that in the metaverse, he has both the sense of taste and the sense of smell. He obviously can see and hear everything going on, but he can also touch the characters in Nexus as if they were real. Considering that Noah can interact with that world in the same way he can with reality, Nexus has become as real as reality itself, which is kind of the problem that Sarah was foreshadowing at the very beginning. Update after update, Noah perfected the program at the expense of its integrity, so even if Sarah is just bits of data, now she's bits of data with a consciousness. From the gaps left by Noah, singularity was able to emerge, so the result of it is that now Sarah thinks she has a soul. In contrast to Noah, who was dehumanizing himself in reality, Sarah was humanizing herself in Nexus, so their roles are reversing. At the beginning of the story, Noah was the programmer and Sarah was the program, but now Noah is the one being programmed and Sarah the one programming him. If in Wannabe UKNOW was singing that he doesn't know if he's living or the one being lived, Noah is now embodying his greatest fear coming to life. He's being absorbed by the fake world, he's losing control, agency, and ultimately himself. When we go back to reality, Noah is sitting on his bathroom floor hooked on Nexus. He calls out to Sarah one last time, and then he gets lost into the metaverse once and for all. If the story began with Noah entering Nexus to escape reality, it now ends with him getting trapped into this new world with no going back. He exchanged one reality for another, but he is as trapped as ever now, so at least for the moment, the story seems to have a very tragic ending. As the camera pans out, however, the bathroom is revealed to be the setting of this very movie. The highlight of the song Curtain announces the ending of this story. The curtain is drawn, the dreamless complex scene finally ends, and the only thing left is the memories of what once was. In the film, we see that it's Yuno himself directing the story, so if Noah the character represents him losing himself in a fake world that swallows him, the character of the director shows that he's now regaining the control through this very project. This also fits with what Yuno himself said about Nexus. Noah is a character created for him to let go of certain things, so he developed the story with that goal in mind. By the end, when Yuno the director says cut, the process is complete. Whatever part of him Noah represented, he now let it go. He told that story, made his point, so the reality show ends with the curtain being drawn. To see if the story of Nexus will continue, we'll have to wait and see, but in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please think about liking and subscribing. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.